Hello, baby babes. Hello. You know, in this digital age, it takes one moment, one headline, one clip without context, and boom, you've been canceled. No judge, no jury, just the court of public opinion with Wi Fi. Welcome to Out of Respect for, and today we're diving into, let's see, cancel culture, the spectacle, the swiftness, and the very fine line between accountability and annihilation. Now, I've been in the game long enough to know people love a crown, but they live for a downfall. And sometimes what's trending isn't the truth, it's just the tea people want to sip. So, we're going to ask the real questions. Who decides who gets cancelled? Who gets a second act? And is this culture about justice or just entertainment? So let's get into it. Receipts ready, wake secured, out of respect, of course. Out of respect for. Hello, Aminas. What's going on? What's happening, people?
Hi.
You all look good.
Yes, it's good to be here. Y'all look good too.
Stop it.
Sampson, you be looking so handsome.
Okay,
Thank you.
Juju, we not going.
And you look so beautiful too, Coco. I didn't mean to forget about you and your
I need to know. I didn't.
beret.
I want to ask you guys, what do how do you define cancel culture, and do you have any examples of people that you feel have been canceled? Like, I'm really, really trying to get into this whole cancel culture thing. So how do you define it?
Well, cancel culture is well, my opinion about it is kind of wild and it's crazy. But that's obviously my opinion about it. I think it's when there's an attempt to stop somebody from making a living or to stop somebody from living their life the best that they can. And I do think that there are people who should be stopped if they are harming other people. Do you know what I mean? I do think that there's a world for that. But I think that a lot of times when people are canceled, it's because somebody shares a difference of opinion, or they didn't like how somebody said something, or they don't live in the same frequency. So like the people who are trying to cancel that person just tries to stop them from being financially stable, from having a job, having a home, having friends. And I think that could be a little dangerous because that person's still human, even if we don't agree with who they are. You know, a very famous person who was canceled, and this was before the term cancel culture happened, was Eartha Kitt. She was blacklisted from the US and the entertainment system, and it was all because she spoke out against the Vietnam War.
Wasn't even Josephine Baker canceled as well too, in a way?
I'm not aware, but we could figure that out. But it was the Vietnam War was happening and Eartha was against it. And she was like, you're sending all of these people over there to be killed into a war that is unnecessary, that isn't our war to fight. And she was fighting for the soldiers, specifically Black soldiers, who were sent in huge numbers. And I speak of this because my family's home country of Laos was very affected by this war, and we had nothing to do with this war. But Laos is the most bombed country in world history to date.
Wow.
Like my parents, when they were born into war. And like I don't know the specific numbers, but it was like a missile was dropped on Laos every 5 minutes for 12 years. So just imagine,
Oh my God.
I know. But yeah, cancel culture is crazy.
MC, what do you define? What are your thoughts on cancel culture? Like, what would you define it being, Sampson?
Ooh, many different ways, but I think the simplest way to define cancel culture is an attempt at creating a public where we force each other to not be able to speak out truthfully. So, the higher ups don't have to do it because we're policing each other now. And, I think it creates the most unstable form of society. And so, we now have a society where people are emotionally unintelligent. We can't come together because we're afraid to come together. We see harm in coming together. And it's all structural. So without going so deep into it, I just believe it is an attempt at keeping people from coming together. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Which I find it very interesting because it's like things have like people have been doing certain. I won't say shady. I won't say shady because it's not always so shady, but it feels like many moons ago, people have always been doing things that are in quote unquote not acceptable by society, or society doesn't find it acceptable, whatever. And there has nothing been like, oh, let's cancel this person and let's stop them from getting their bag or stop them from doing this X, Y, and Z. Not saying that it's correct or it's not correct, but it's never been that way. Now all of a sudden there's this whole thing about cancel culture, and I'm just like, where is that coming from, though?
Well,
Like,
we should say this really quickly. I think at first it was more rumors, but when you create a society where everybody has a platform, and most people don't know how to think critically, and most people are not emotionally intelligent enough to look at the facts before responding. Everything doesn't need a response. And so a lot of people, and that's why they're called followers, will look at what the popular public opinion is, and without asking any question, they will jump on board with that and add that to the fact that people do like to watch a dumpster fire. People are just throwing stuff on top of that. So, I mean, there's so many different variables that make it a really horrible thing.
Mm-hmm. When I was younger, that was easy for me. I would jump on the bandwagon for anything, with anything, in that world. But now, for me, if something like that happens, I have to know I have to research. I don't even speak now, and it's a lot for me to hold back and not speak. But I don't even speak now until I really learn what really is going on before I even open my mouth to say I agree, I disagree, or anything. Because if I don't know about it, I don't want to make a judgment on something that affects people and that affects people's life and livelihood. I think the biggest thing with cancel culture right now is everybody wants everybody to get on the bandwagon with what they feel and what they believe. However, that's never going to happen in that way. I feel like we could end cancel culture if people just realize, like for me, if I see something or somebody says something that I don't agree with, I'm not going to try to get everybody else on the bandwagon. I'm going to silently decide if I'm going to pull my support for that person. Let people decide what they're going to do on their own. I'm not here to influence your decision on how you're supposed to feel about somebody, because I know what that's like, and that's been done to me before, so I know what that is like, so I'm not going to do that. But if you say something crazy and I'm like, oh, I can't get with you or that, whatever, I'm going to personally not get with you or that. And I'm not going to be like, oh, girl, did you see what she said? Such and such and such. We got to cancel her. Nah, I'm not. I don't get into that. I think I almost think it's almost an invasion of privacy, and it helps people to not even think for themselves. You're promoting them not thinking for themselves even more, because people are like, well, what do you think about that? And then you're waiting for this person's response, and however they respond, it's like, oh, am I going to deal with you? Nah, I'm not doing it. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I think Samson, when you speak about like emotional intelligence, I think that is the literal thing. There's so many people who just can't tap into that part of themselves. So when they see what the masses do, they're like, well, I have to agree because that's what everybody's doing. But like, I think when we all sit here, we've all gotten to where we are in our lives because we have been able to think for ourselves, and we've grown and matured. And like you said, the internet does allow every single person who has it to speak. And a lot of those opinions are wild.
Yeah.
Uneducated,
I mean, I think it's to the point where now you've got 12 and 13-year-old kids having opinions online and mixing themselves in adult conversations with people 50 and 55 years old. that ain't that, and a part of that is parenting too, because I feel like the parents, your child is undeveloped, and
Well, the problem is the iPads are the parents now.
right,
Right.
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the babysitter.
Yep.
Babysit, yeah, iPad. Yeah, and that's a huge problem. I think it's a huge problem for kids going forward too. They are not going to be socially. They're not even going to be able to communicate socially anymore, and that's happening now. You
Yeah.
know, like I mean, we've said in past episodes, we talked about it. We literally used to have to go out to meet people, and we would have
Mhm.
face-to-face communication with people. Now you can do all of that online, and you can make up whatever you want. You can
Mhm.
put a yacht behind you in a big mansion and tell people you're worth this amount of money, and they will believe it.
No, they won't. Not if they're smart.
But they're not. That's the thing. They're not though. Like you said, they're not. They're socially. They, they are not
Because a real wealthy person would not do that. Most
exactly. They have no idea.
wealthy
Oh.
people outside of Oprah hide their wealth.
Right. Most
Mhm.
of your rich people, you'll see them in tore-up jeans and a tank top. You won't even know that they're not running around with Gucci on from head to toe and Gucci bag on their arm and going these places. They don't do that. Not the wealthy. The rich may, but the wealthy do not.
But let me ask you. So, has any of you here? I think I know the answer to this question, but I'm just really curious because it always has to come out from the horse's mouth or whatever. Has any of you guys been canceled or even just near getting into like cancellation?
I have. Yeah.
You've been canceled for what?
Yeah, and didn't give a fuck. For what?
Who canceled
Who
you?
canceled you,
When?
Coco?
They
Yeah.
listen. That y'all know that show we was on. Them people always trying to find a
Oh.
way. Those kids always trying to find a way. If they don't like what you say, what you do, or you don't like, or you sent a friend home or something, there's always an issue. No, I mean they cancel. I think being canceled, however you handle it, it determines the outcome.
Yeah.
If you feel like you are at the mercy of these people and how they feel, and then you want to change your stance because they are, uh, they have an issue with it, then yeah, you can be canceled. But they can't cancel me. Oh, we're not gonna go to Coco's shows anymore. Okay, well, baby, I got a degree. I can go back and teach. What? I'm still gonna perform. I'm gonna do whatever I want to do. You're not gonna scare me into oh, you don't believe like us, so you can't.
Well, Coco, I don't know if I mean, I cannot speak for you if you say it's canceled, but I don't know in your situation if it was just people having opinions
Mhm.
about you being on a show. I don't know. That's why I said I don't know if it's called
No, but see
canceled.
that's where it becomes what we're calling cancel culture. Is it's no longer a difference in an opinion. It's if you don't sit with the majority, you are ostracized. And
Mhm.
then if you stand in completely thinking for yourself, especially in a radical way, then not only you're ostracized, but you're thrown out.
And my,
And that's where that comes in. And so, just like Coco was saying, when it comes down to dealing with what we're calling cancel culture, which I think you can label the behavior cancel culture, but I think ultimately what it comes down to is fortitude and character. And so, if you know that you are expressing something that needs to be said, it does take more people standing wholly in character, sound judgment, and courage, and standing in the opinion that they have, especially if they know it's right or needs to be said. And the problem is a lot of people are silent and a lot of people are going along with what's popular out of fear. And so it comes down to courageous people with character saying, this is what my opinion is, and I'm standing by that opinion, and what I have to say, come hell or high water.
Mm-hmm.
for example, like I totally agree with you, Sampson, on that. For example, there's something really going on in another country right now that is a big deal with us here, and everybody was like, "What are your thoughts on this?" or "What are your thoughts on that?" And me being honest, you know, I'm not one of the people. I gotta look like the hip one, like I know what's going on, and yeah, I'm moving with y'all. I said, I don't honestly, I don't know about this. I need to do the research before I can answer a question you're asking me about that. I don't know. So I have to go and really do and if you know what I'm talking about, I had to really do some deep in research because I didn't know what was going on over there. And I'm not afraid to say I did not know. You know what I mean? But everybody's like, how did you know about this and that? And that? I was like, y'all, I'm being honest with y'all. I got to do my research. I'm not going to speak on that. I'm not. So what's the next question? Because I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not going to speak on something I don't know just to fit in, especially just going off what I've heard, you know? It's a lot. You know, that whole situation is a lot. And I really wanted to do research. I did not want to speak just because everybody else is speaking. You know.
Drew, have you ever been in that situation before or no? Have you experienced cancel culture?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
I thought you said Drew.
I said Juju.
I said, who is Drew?
Are you on edibles, honey?
No. I'm clean and serene.
Strength, sweetie.
I think that there have been moments where people either don't like that I haven't said something. Like going back to what Coco just said, a lot of the times when things that are highly political happen, I don't share my opinion about it because I feel that my opinion does not matter. Because I'm going to share my opinion with people who already feel the same exact way. And yelling down an echo chamber to me is kind of a nuisance, and it really doesn't matter. The people who follow me understand me, and more than likely, we feel the same way about things. And I think the very specific thing about this was when the president became president, and I had a timed post, and it was my cat. It was like a cat post. And there was a queen here from Boston who was like, read the room, Juju. I can't believe you would post something so insensitive. And I was like, it's a cat. It's my cat. What are you talking about? You don't even follow me. You were seeking somebody to use as a scapegoat for the way you are uncomfortable. And you had to try to get all these queens in Boston to cancel me, right?
Oh.
Like, and it didn't work because my response to that was, well, cancel me, baby. Like, what, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm so comfortable and I know who I am and I work my ass off and I know what I stand for, that when somebody tries to do something like that, it has nothing to do with me. It's like you're sitting over there, maybe a little envious of the success and of me being so comfortable and successful with what I do. And I'm in a really good place and I'm really happy. You know, even though the world is on fire, I still can find my joy and my peace. And I think that people who try to cancel people don't have that. They don't have the luxury of peace.
Right.
You know, and what is that saying? Misery loves company. Right?
Well, I mean,
so they want you to be a part of it.
I can see how people, I'm not even about the cancel culture. I can see how people have used their platform to do harm on others.
Yeah.
It's people's attempt to feel powerful.
That's what it is.
Otherwise, they don't feel like nothing, and that's their attempt to feel like somebody. Let's target this person who, you know, gets all this attention that I want to have or whatever, and let's bring them down. So that makes them feel powerful.
Yeah. But MC, don't you think that when you look at like just the platforms and people, some of the celebrities that have been canceled, or not even celebrities, just people in general that have been canceled, do you see how some of that cancellation has helped move in a positive direction?
No, nothing positive has come out of cancel culture, because very, very few times have you seen public discourse where we have all grown collectively as a society. That would never happen in cancel culture.
I totally agree.
There's never a real conversation that comes out of it, BeBe.
Never.
It's because it's always like, well, let's just blacklist this person. They can't do anything else. But it's like, well, aren't we meant to like learn from this, or aren't we meant to try to understand? Because a lot of people are speaking and they're not listening, right? They're speaking for a response, and then the response happens, and then their response comes, and it's never for an actual moment of understanding or to grow knowledge. And that's a huge issue. And that's where cancel culture comes in, because nobody's trying to understand you when they're trying to cancel you. They're just trying to shut you up.
And most of the time, most of the time it has a lot of other underlying reasons why why they're trying to cancel you. This was just one of those moments, like you said, when someone, oh, how insensitive you are about such and
Yes.
such, and you're like, well, there was no topic or anything. I posted my cat.
Yeah. Yeah. And, like
Yeah, you're
a lot of
here.
people are uncomfortable and don't know how to be uncomfortable. So they
There are a lot of
project.
Yes,
people. There
that's
are a lot
what it is.
there are a lot of
And
people.
but I mean, this sort of thing has always happened. I mean, if you look at things like the Salem witch trials and all that type of
Oh,
stuff,
yeah.
those were examples of public hangings and
Uh-huh.
cancellations. It's the same thing, except for all these behaviors that we've done historically are now happening digitally.
For that's literally it. And did you know the witch trials? Do you know what I found out like a few weeks ago about it? So back then, women weren't allowed to own land unless they were married to a man who ended up dying. He owned the land. So for a way for the government to get the land back and to actually own that land, they figured out we need to call her a witch, and
Mhm,
then we get to take that from her. So
mhm.
And
it's
yeah,
shit.
and it's the same way now. And I'm, again, not to get all deep, but this is structurally coming from somewhere. So, there was a time where we had talk shows. There was a time where we had talk radio. There was a time where we
Hmm.
had town halls and we discussed things that were happening around us. And we had the school of George Carlin and all that type of stuff. He will get canceled now. And so again, this is keep your mouth closed as a society on things, and it really is eroding society. And that's why we got robots and things coming, because there is an attempt at keeping people from connecting with each other, from having relationships and being a community.
But
Hmm.
what do you say about those people who have made statements or who have said things and they've used? Because I would say a whole of this, a huge part of this also is social media, right? This whole cancel culture, because that's where, not that it hasn't existed before, it's existed in different forms. But when you think about it right now, MC, you say like digitally, it's social media. That's how it, these, people are getting canceled or whatever. Or let's not buy this thing, or let's not talk to them, or let's not. But don't you feel like we also have with our platforms, there's also a social responsibility on the things we say and the things we do to make sure that it doesn't affect a certain community or like create like havoc on people, because sometimes it's not just an opinion, right?
I mean,
I
the
guess because we
people,
all have opinions, but I feel like some people have used their platforms to like really create like just harm on other communities,
There's,
right? Which I feel like is
Mm.
very different from it.
I
there's,
think it actually is more helpful to know what people are saying personally. Everything doesn't need a response. I mean, people have all kinds of opinions, people have all kinds of views. We just have more access to it now. But again, emotional intelligence is being able to listen to something that somebody says and make note of it, but it doesn't always need a response. And I think, uh, society is so anxiety driven. Like we are addicted to chaos, tragedy, and anxiety. And so people like they're craving it. They're always looking for it. And that the internet has made that a lot worse. The news is an example. And so people have moved away from legacy media because they get their chaos from the internet.
well, I think they also, here's another thing they do too is there's no accountability and there's no consequences to making up your fairy tale lies about other people and putting them out there. If, for example, if I wanted to right now, I'm mad at Juju, I can go on social media and go live and say, girl, that Jujubee, she done slept with. I done found out she done slept with two married men, in the community who are married to two of her sisters. This is a mess. She is a mess, and I guarantee you, the comments will start rolling in. Well, I never liked her in
Hmm.
the first place, and I heard that she's such and such. Now, mind you, I'm sitting on the other end with no consequences about what I just made up about about Jujubee.
Yeah.
Now they're considering an hour later, after all the hoopla, people are considering, oh, let's do this whole campaign to cancel Jujubee on a lie that I've made. There's no consequences for my lie.
I think there is a consequence, and I'm of the belief that, if Jujubee did not do that, then there's no need to respond because that's going to come back to you.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but why would you
I
even
would just call my lawyers.
right? Why would? But my thing is, why? But a lot of people get away with that kind of stuff.
No,
Yeah,
they
of
don't.
course they do.
They will
I don't think they
insinuate.
do.
They will insinuate things, and they will
I
say
don't think
things
they
out
do.
there, and you're like,
You know what I think? I think at the beginning they might, and they might feel like they got away, and it'll keep snowballing. But I think karma has a great way of working itself out, and if you want to speed that up, there are people who will get the law involved,
yeah.
and you only get so many chances to make up things about
But
somebody.
but example like with people like Michael Jackson and all that kind of stuff, who took it all the way to court, and it's still no evidence, no proof. This never happened many times, and then it goes, well, the reputation is done now. No one will ever believe, no matter how much truth we find out and put out there, people will believe what they want to believe, regardless of the facts. And I think that's a problem. And that's a problem with people not being, like they're not coherent. They don't understand what it's like when you put that stuff out there because you're going to get it back. You're going to get it back. It's going to happen to you. But you keep putting that stuff out there. And it's ruining a lot of people. Let's just be real. We do know. And then we find out later, oh, that wasn't true. It's too late now. Their whole career's gone. Their reputation's gone. Everything's gone.
I don't know. I think it really just it comes down to personal character and being able to not being afraid to bend and weather the storm that may come with being lied on. And if you know that you are a good person and you have not committed any harm against anyone, and this lie about you comes out, being able to just stand firm in who you are because it's solid. The truth will always defend itself.
Always.
Hmm.
Always.
Does that truth sometimes come too late? Let's be for real. Come on.
And that's okay, but it still will always defend itself.
But on MC, I understand what you're saying that the truth will always defend itself. But to go back to even like what Coco is saying is that unfortunately there's still some damage that has been done, right? Because then you have to still sit like if you're someone who is also looking at people's opinions or validations from others, then you are now you still always have that behind voice saying that people still think about me this way, even if I've been proven,
Yeah, but
you know
but
what I'm saying?
again, this is why it is important to have character to be strong enough to stand on who you are and take that time. And I know everybody is not able to do it, but I would encourage people to be able to take situations like that and use it to make you bigger, better, and stronger. That's what I would
Hmm.
do.
Are you coming from a person, not a personal space, but like from have you had that, in terms of
I'm a,
like
I'm a,
cancellation?
I'm a, I am a comedian and a social commentator. Like it's my job to engage the public in honest dialogue about things, and um, being in the LGBTQ community as a black man, sometimes some of the queer kids have said, "Oh, I have the privilege of being straight passing or whatever," because I grew up in the hood, so I'm able to have certain conversations with black people that, for instance, I got in trouble for saying that just because somebody does not agree with gay marriage, like you may have an aunt who say she don't agree with gay marriage, that don't mean she's homophobic. She'll still let you and your boyfriend come to her house and eat sweet potato pie. But if you ask her what her opinion on that is, she would say, "That's what I think." Now, what people do is they say, "Well, if you don't believe exactly as I believe, then you are a horrible person." That does not mean she's a horrible person. That just means that is her personal opinion. And
Hmm.
us trying to force our views on somebody is not creating any allies.
Mhm.
She may even say, I'll come to your wedding or whatever, but me personally, I believe it's between a man or a woman. I don't understand why when we just kind of state the obvious, we get in trouble for that. Like that's a part of having our exchanges as people as being able to make concessions for each other as long as nobody's being harmed. But these days, if you do that, you get put in the bad person category.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like people don't give other people enough grace to evolve in terms of even their own opinions or where they stand, and I don't think a lot of times it's coming out from a place of malice. I think sometimes a lot of times people are trying to also understand and figure it out, or
Sure.
because people can evolve as human beings. We have to.
Yeah.
There's certain things that even in my friendships or my relationships that I don't even understand, but I have to allow myself and also give grace to be able to also understand and move, and those opinions to change. I see them even in my family, where people think about something one way or the other, then they experience me, and then that opinion about what they're thinking changes, kind
Yeah.
of thing. And I just feel like people are not given enough, just like, okay, but I also feel like it's how it's approached.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have to admit, personally, I'm able to extend grace to people because not only have I had to evolve on certain things, many things, but I have also had to learn how to express my difference and opinion about it in a way that is a lot more considerate. Because I'm very blunt. Like, I just say it, and if you don't like it, that's not my problem. But I've had to learn how to be a little bit more compassionate in my approach when I explain things. And then at that point, because I'm going to be honest and transparent and open to learning, but if there's still an attack on my character, then that's not my problem.
Right. Exactly. I had to check myself because I had the same situation like you saying, but in reverse. I I would get really, really upset when I would go to TSA because they would always press the wrong button, and it would always mean that they would have to check me right in my growing area. And it got
Mm.
to the point where I would get frustrated. No, I would get mad, and I would blame the person and be like, what I mean? I'm a man.
Wow.
I had to really, really like take a moment and realize, I used to do that all the time. And my best friend was like, "Hey, just want to tell you, sometimes you really look like a girl. So them people not trying to. A lot of times they not trying to be funny. It's just it happens that way. So I had to check myself because I was like, cancel TSA. These are the most stupidest people in the world. I don't understand how they can't see what it's. And I had to come outside of myself and get the vision of, okay, your cheekbones are kind of high. You do decide whatever you wake up that morning, what you're gonna dress like and what you're gonna look like when you go to the airport. So you could probably take some.
Coco, what you be wearing to the airport?
Okay, I was about to ask that.
Gowns. She wearing beautiful gowns.
I'll either wear tracksuit. I'll wear tracksuit. I'll wear tracksuit and give very lesbian vibes, or I would wear like tight jeans. So when they see my body, then from behind, they're looking like, oh, And I've had guys even say to me from behind, like, oh, when I turn around, they're like, oh, you got me, that type of thing. But
But then why are they stopping you though? Like, I can understand
I
how
want
is
everybody.
how is the shape of your body having TSA stop you?
Because they press like a female button. They press like female button, and
Yeah,
then when she goes through the scanner,
yeah. So if they press
they
down, they go through the scanner and they see my log, they gonna be like, we gotta check. We gotta run a check. And I'm like, and the lady will be talking to me and she may say, okay, I'm gonna have to check you here. So I say, you could have at it, but I'm a dude. So you about to feel all my glory. So it is what it is. And then she'll be like, oh, I'm sorry. And then she'll hand it off to the guy. I would used to get really offended by that. Now I don't get offended at all. I laugh it off now. I think it's funny. It's not, but I had to check myself about it because I want to cancel everybody. I want the whole TSA cancel. I want to go to managers, speak to their manager. They trying to be funny over there, and they really not.
Mm-hmm.
I had to do some soul searching to understand. You can't just cancel everybody.
Yeah.
And they were really like timid about like it happened, and then you could see it in their face like, oh, what am I gonna say? Is guy or is it a girl or is what I mean? And so they'll say, "Ma'am, I have to check," and I'm like, "It's sir," and they still don't know at that point if is he trans or whatever. So I'm like, "No, it's sir," and there's something there. There definitely is
They
something.
thought she was trying to smuggle some
So you're
goodies.
so you're saying that you got
I was
yourself to be
canceling people. I was canceling people. Oh, I was
got it.
every day I would come through TSA. I was canceling folks, just canceling left and right. Fuck with you no more. Come over here.
Well, I mean, when you say you're canceling, I mean, when you say like, oh, I was canceling people, like yours didn't really have that much impact, right? Cancel like.
You are so shady, BeBe.
No,
You
but they
need to be
on
canceled.
a serious level. On a serious level, psychologically.
No, because when you say, "Oh, I was canceling left and right," it's almost like you had this magic wand. Cancel. I'm canceling.
But what I was doing was could be psychologically messing with those people, making them think, well, am I homophobic or am I? You know what I mean? I didn't know, and I was trying to. So they get nervous and anxious. So I'm kind of like putting them in a situation too. You know what I mean? Because everybody don't have ill intentions.
Yeah, that's where grace
Yeah.
comes in.
Right. Everybody don't have ill intentions. A lot of people do in this world, but there are a lot of people who don't. And they
Yeah.
may be just working, doing their job that day, and they may have, you know what I mean? Some of them, you could see the look on their face, and some of them turn beet red, like embarrassed.
You
Yeah.
wonder if they were trying to make it so that they weren't offensive.
Right. But I was.
You
And
know what
then
I'm saying?
sometimes when they do that though, by trying not to, they make it worse. It's weird how that happens.
It does the exact opposite of what they were hoping for, right?
Right.
So, I mean, it seems like it was a learning experience for everybody because
For me, definitely.
yeah,
But definitely
it's
for me.
one.
Because
Yeah.
now I don't go into defense mode. I go into, okay, I got to make this person feel as comfortable as possible because I really, really just screwed their day. Like their day is probably like up in arms right now. So I got to be calm about it and kind of laugh it off and kind of like,
Yeah.
you know.
So do you guys
And
think?
I do find that helps allowing people to mess up, and when they mess up, not be mad at them, because usually when you allow people to mess up, their defenses come down, and then it becomes, a much more pleasant exchange.
Because I would even go on like some days it'll be maybe it's an early morning and I'm pissed off and baby at TSA McCarran Airport, y'all need to fix this. These people are incompetent XYZ, and then I'm posting on the internet. Now I done threw, you know what I mean? Now I done threw everybody under the bus. Now, so I had to check myself and understand you're being, you know what I mean? Your ego is letting you be offended by something that actually, if you look at it more, you wouldn't even be offended by it.
But
Yeah.
my question is, do you guys think it actually changes behavior?
No, I think it makes it worse.
You mean
Really, MC?
wait, what do you mean as far as BeBe changes?
Like, do you feel like the people that get canceled, do you feel like it changes their behavior?
It's traumatizing. It makes it worse.
Yeah, it does. Now that is true. It
In
does.
what way?
In what way does it? It makes people. It breeds hatred, because if say a person has no understanding of the LGBTQ community, and every time they say they meet a Coco, they only know two Cocos in town, and every time they meet a Coco and they mess up, they get beat up for messing up. Again, most people on both sides don't have the emotional intelligence to go, hold up, wait a minute. And so rather than coming to a consensus or creating some understanding, or one person just going, that has nothing to do with me, now you got two people who hate each other because the only interaction that they have with somebody who represents something close to what they might know as the LGBTQ community is outrage. But for instance, and I'm gonna make this story really short, when I was in DC, I was an activist for marriage equality. And the people who were testifying with the churches and stuff, they were saying some really horrible homophobic things. It would create these really big fights in the chamber every day. We would go for coffee. The coffee was horrible. I make a joke and I always say I think they were trying to poison us because it was just too much chaos. They were just trying to kill everybody. So again, long story short, I remember one of the ladies was just saying some really horrible things about gay people. I was going to Starbucks, and so I heard her talking about coffee, and I said, hey, do you want to come get some coffee with me? So she said, yeah. And I could kind of feel her apprehension about walking up the street, but we were walking and we ended up talking about family. She was talking about how I reminded her of her grandson. So I'm teasing her like, is it gay? And, we ended up laughing about it. And our thing is, we would walk to Starbucks every day to go get coffee. That became me and her thing, and we ended up being friends. And she
Mm,
said that was the first time that she had met a gay person and like she understood that we were just like everybody else. And that's what we
Mm,
need more of.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it makes a
Just
But
difference.
the human
if I would have
connection.
responded by calling her bitches and,
Hmm.
Mhm.
then she would have gone home feeling justified for her hatred or her misunderstanding of LGBT. But, she met somebody who reminded her of somebody who obviously was dear to her. That creates a connection. And then this is a human. This is a person who, yeah, he likes guys, but he also has feelings. We like some of the same things. He's spiritual. He's down here fighting for what he believes because of this. She saw me as a person, and then she started talking to some of the other gay people that was down there. And I noticed over the course of that time that her arguments against gay marriage became less about the people and it was like more personal beliefs. And then she just stopped testifying.
Mhm.
Mm.
Well, like you said, that's where that giving people that grace period to be able to evolve. You know what I'm saying? Like giving
Yeah.
them opportunities, because I don't feel like people spend time to really experience humans or even the people that they meet to their fullest capacity. I don't think we even do that sometimes. I can even as friends, because
Mm.
even as friends, like we don't know all of our opinions or and our experiences also come to play. And I don't feel like we always give our relationships friendships that grace to be able to evolve with them if we don't agree with whatever that is. It's like, okay, if you're not thinking like me, then you're not.
Right.
Well, that right
Yeah.
there comes down to people not knowing what the true definition of friendship is. And that's what that is.
Mhm.
Yeah. I also think people, we all need to just meet ourselves deeply
Mhm.
before we try to meet other people deeply.
Mhm.
I think that's very important because w- we never spend enough time looking inward and seeing how and who we are. But we're always the first humans to look at other people and point out their mistakes and their differences. But
Mhm.
it's literally so easy to just self reflect. And Coco was saying earlier, you said something that stood out to me. You said something about like removing yourself and looking through another lens at yourself.
Mhm.
That's it is so important to do that.
Mhm.
I was in a bad mood earlier today, and I took a step out of myself and I was like, why are you in a bad mood? And I don't even know why.
Mhm.
But as soon as I questioned that, the mood shifted. And I was like, you don't need to spend that time there,
Mhm.
you know?
When we become self-aware, we can do that. When you really
Yeah.
uh, start to analyze something like, why am I feeling this way today?
Hmm.
What am I not facing that's a little bit deeper than what I'm doing? Why am I doing this?
Right.
Yeah, it helps. It changes your perspective, and it can change you when you change things like that immediately. You can shift the energy, not just in the room for other people, but if you sit in a room by yourself, you shift the energy, change it. You know, bad things happening to me, bad things happening to me, and you're thinking that now you're waiting for the next bad thing to happen to you. Well, guess what? It's gonna happen.
It's what happened.
No, so I wanted to I'm asking you guys, but I was going to ask you, get your opinion first. Like, what advice would you give someone who has been canceled or has been close to cancel?
Okay. Well, it depends on what the situation is. I mean, if you have said something that is genuinely hateful and harmful, you have to understand that yes, that is going to make some people upset. And so I would encourage someone to use that as an opportunity to give themselves grace to genuinely grow, and then just don't shy away from society. Try to contribute good to society. Now, on the other hand of that, um, if you are a person who has firm convictions about something in society, or around you, or simply just existing as a person, and you know that you are doing that righteously, then I think it takes a great deal of courage to stand in who you are, especially now, and especially when you can read the comments or you can be impacted so immediately by people's responses to what you're doing. But it takes standing in courage and character, and that will help you to prevail.
Okay. Wow, wow. Kogo, do you anything?
On
I know you already mentioned about, giving yourself grace and
Okay, so the question is basically what advice would I give someone who's been canceled or on the verge of being canceled?
Yeah.
Um, I think that they should. I think what they should do is if if it like he said, if it's a situation where well, you said what you said, and then you're gonna double down on it, then I mean, it is what it is. But I feel like a lot of times we don't hear people. I'll give you an example. There was something really big going on lately with somebody I actually really enjoy, Laverne Cox. That whole situation was going on, and people were quick to go and cancel. She did a interview where she sat down with many trans people who said to her, "Here, this is why we had a problem with this, and this is that, and the other, and the other." And when I heard it, I was like, "Okay, well, at least she's hearing people out, even if
Yeah.
she's faking it or what. But she was hearing what people had to say, and she allowed herself to be vulnerable enough to take in what they were saying and take accountability for how she could have done it and everything else. And for
Yeah.
me, that was enough because here at the end of the day, she didn't have to sit there and let people, and they did not hold back. If
Oh yeah,
they
yeah.
went in, and
I
she
haven't seen this.
oh, it was incredible. It was incredible to watch because I watched her be, because I've seen her be an activist and see her be strong at that. But to see
Yeah.
her sit there and take that beating from those people and still be able to say, you know what? I understand. I see what you guys are saying, and I could have done this differently. If my approach was wrong, I could have done this and done.
Real quick, Coco, but do you think the beating that they gave her was necessary? Because I thought that a couple people on that panel was using that for a moment. Like again, it feels good to I got to talk shit to Laverne Cox.
Right.
Hmm.
A few of them were. A few of them were, and that showed up, and people can see through that, and a lot of people had a lot of opinions about that, which I think you brought yourself there to do that the way you did, and you got served. Um, and to be, it says right. It says for the Burns character though, because I'm not gonna lie, personally, outside of that, immediately after it happened. I didn't go to the internet. I went to her because we conversate back and forth online. We met probably once, but we conversate back and forth online. And I said what I had to say to her on that and sent it. She read it and she wrote me back. Let's talk soon. But you go and you see this interview happen, and then I wrote her back and said, "Hey, I commend you for being able to do what you did and and do that." And then after a time, this is what I was saying earlier about taking the time to take things in before you post and you do things. So I was able to wait because I waited it out and saw what was going on. I was able to go back and post that interview, the clip from the interview and the story, and say, "Hey, I commend you for actually sitting here and taking the the beating and listening and growing from it." That was to me, if I'm not gonna say something encouraging to you, even if you've gone through something, said something crazy and shit hits the fan, and then there's time enough for you and you correct it, I'd rather address you correcting it than to address the immediate, because you're getting enough of the other bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're getting enough of that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I'd rather sit there and say, "Hey, yeah, you messed up, but you
Yeah.
you tried to fix it, and that means more than anything else." Because some people will they double down.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Be
So
it
what?
ego embarrassment, or something. They double down, and then it's kind of like,
Mm.
"Girl, are you hearing what people are? Are you hearing this? You know what I mean? Yeah, are you hearing this?" But I didn't be like that. I didn't. That didn't happen overnight for me because I have to do it for myself now too. I might say something or do something that's like, "Well, damn, you could have handled that a little different,"
No.
and I got to I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I can."
So what is this is the part of the our conversation where I want to know, like, what's the not this darling? And it's a time where we shine a big old spotlight on the moments in cancel culture that are giving ridiculous, from overblown scandals to you blinked wrong, so you're over, or we're calling out the petty, the performative, and the downright pointless. Not this, darling. Definitely not this. I want to ask you guys, what about cancel culture is your not this? Like, what about it? What don't we want to see?
Wait, is it if you could uncancel one celebrity, who would it be and why?
Well, no. Like when we talk about the culture itself, like the whole idea of cancel culture, what about this idea would you not want anymore to
Well,
exist?
can we just cancel culture? Is that
I think
also
so.
a part of cancel culture?
That
Like,
was
is it
funny.
wild?
That part.
Because I think when people we've beaten this horse.
Hmm.
The point of cancel culture is to literally stop somebody from just being.
Right,
Right.
And how are we all gonna learn anything if we're not here to speak and listen, right?
right.
I'm not
Yeah.
saying we have to like try to understand everybody who is being canceled, but what I'm saying is there is always somebody for somebody. And there will always be a group of people who are committed to siding with the person who's being canceled. And then there's always going to be the other group of people who are committed to canceling them. And then there's another group of people who are literally like, let me just live my life. We don't need to be a part of that. Let them live their lives, you know?
I don't think we should have. I don't think we should have cancel culture anymore. I think if
Yeah,
that's the case,
it's
then if we really want to hear people out and kind of understand people, then anytime anybody says something to be canceled or whatever, whatever, let's bring them to the forum. Let's just have a forum. Let's bring a forum. You get to pick everybody who can show up. Let's talk about this because you said something we don't understand, and we trying to get a more of a understanding of you before we make a decision about what we're gonna do. You know what I mean? Just bring people out. Hey, would you come to a forum? Let's talk about this, and just do it like that. And then we got to do it publicly. You know, people like spectacles, like you said. The people was trying to grandstand and all kinds of bullshit that wasn't necessary. We're trying to get to the root of, you know what I mean? We're trying to understand this person. Because don't nobody, you know what I mean? We're not going to disregard all the good this person has done in this one moment. Now we're going to act like such and such and such. No, if you really care, let's get a better understanding of what they said or whatever. Or help them get a better understanding of why we pissed. Stop the
mhm.
canceling stuff. Don't cancel people. Talk to people. Then you can personally decide if you want to cancel them on your own and keep that shit to yourself. You want to buy their album, don't buy their album. You want their book, don't buy their book. But you ain't got
But
to
buy mine,
buy
buy my album.
Right.
be
MC, what's yours?
I think I'm with Jujubee on this one. We need to get rid of the need for cancel culture. This need for finding joy in destroying people. You know, I could never get down with that. You know, I am one for a good, robust public debate. I think we need to bring those back.
Yeah.
But as far as canceling somebody, trying to annihilate somebody or destroy their life because they said something that didn't make you feel good, um,
Mhm.
people need to grow up.
Mhm. And the truth is that you'll be surprised what having conversations,
mm-hmm.
what what that does. I just feel like
Mhm.
people do not allow themselves to have conversations with others, whether that's people that they alike with or unalike with. I just feel like people just don't talk anymore. And when you start having conversations, you see, like, even like MC, when you shared, being the lady that you were going to coffee with, and just from those conversations, look at what it did. I think if people can just be able to start doing that and doing that more often, you see that we're very similar. We're all
Absolutely.
very, very similar. There's no way, just with the whole idea of humanity, there's no way you cannot find some certain similarities in some aspect of humanity with another person.
But
Just
but we live in a time now where if somebody says something you don't like or they do something you don't like online, which is how most of us connect, you can just block them. So that means I can just delete you because I don't like. And so this is creating an approach to our interactions where we're looking for how different we are from each other as opposed to how we connect.
right,
Yeah, I mean,
right.
you said something earlier, Cecily. You said something about, I think it was in another episode about blocking people and letting and you say you don't block people,
Nope.
block people. And I understand that. I mean, I understand that. I just think some people at some point in their life they get to a point where they don't want the negative energy at all. So
Mm,
engaging with someone who is hell bent on misunderstanding you, they want to debate with you regardless. I kind of just like, you gotta go. I'm not.
I disagree with that. I'm old fashioned. I just say go find them and whoop their ass. Some people just need a good old fashioned ass whooping.
They're not going. That ain't going. They ain't gonna learn nothing. They gonna learn that they can't. Well,
They'll
Well,
learn.
if Samson's doing it, they gonna like it.
I want to answer you. I want.
You talking about a spanking, not an ass whooping.
I want
Oh
you.
no, Samson, throw me down the
I want
stairs,
you to be
baby.
put your foot on my head. That's so. That is toxic. That is so toxic.
Push me against the wall, honey.
Okay, I do that.
Woo!
Oh,
With that
Okay.
head.
Well,
out of respect for her has now become
Out
a
of
dating
respect.
podcast.
Girl, what happened to you? Girl, Samson just be playing so much, girl.
Yeah, the time. I'm there like,
You know what? We have seen how like cancel culture has, we've seen how it's created accountability, yes, but also it has created chaos and career casualties and plenty of performative pearl clutching. So this is what I want you to remember. The internet doesn't get the final say on your worth. Public opinion is loud, but truth is patient, and while holding people accountable matters, so does grace, growth, and knowing when to let the story unfold before you hit share. So I want to just really give a huge thank you to my co-host for joining me and to you, my gorgeous, gorgeous listeners. Before you cancel, comment, or quote tweet, ask yourself, is this justice or is it just entertainment? So until next time, keep your receipts tidy, your heart open, and your shade well placed. Out of respect, of course. Thank you, BeBe Babes. Out of respect for